Mikhail Gorbachev was born on March 2, 1931 in Stavropol, Russia, or at the time the USSR. He grew up to be a Soviet official, Secretary of Agriculture of the Central Committee in 1978. He became a General Secretary of the Communist Party from 1985 to 1991, and eventual President of the Soviet Union from 1990 to 1991 when it was disbanded. His father was drafted into the military and fought against the Germans' invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941, forcing Mikhail to live in a country stricken by heavy war for 4 years. Mikhail was an attentive student, doing very well in school, and as well as helping his father after school and in the summer. He joined the Komsomol, or the Communist Youth League, at the age of 14 and was an active member while he was in it. He became a full member of the Communist Party in 1952, gaining numerous promotions until he eventually became a member of the Politburo, or the Soviet Union's policy-making body, which had control over the Soviet government in 1980. Gorbachev's main goal as the Soviet leader was to revive the stagnant economy of the USSR after Leonid Brezhnev's time as leader from 1964 to 1982. His plans stressed modernization and increased productivity through his movement of reform known as Perestroika. Perestroika was Gorbachev's attempt to democratize the Soviet Union's political systems, including having actual candidates for presidency, as well as implementing the secret ballot. His policy of glasnost, or openness, encouraged freedom of expression and the spread of information. Broadcasts were allowed uncensored criticism and reportage, and the totalitarian dictatorship of the Union was abolished by the government. His new policies did not fare well with the Soviets, however. Supply shortages were common in stores, and authorities dismissed Gorbachev's ideas, deeming them as ineffective. People believe his changes were too drastic from the existing system at the time. Gorbachev's freedoms weakened the Soviet Union, making communism weak and left people wanting full independence. Fierce communists actually attempted a coup against the president in 1991, but it was not successful due to the lack of supporters. As a result, he dissolved the Central Committee, effectively separating the whole Soviet Union. However, he left office shortly after, resigning in December of 1991. The Soviet Union and the United States were constantly improving their arms in a competitive race to prove who can have the largest, most lethal storage of weapons. During Gorbachev's presidency, he noticed the economy was suffering heavily as a result. The USSR was spending a great deal of money improving their firepower at the same time the US was. Gorbachev was forced to try and negotiate an agreement with the United States to end this arms race by scheduling meetings with the US President at the time, President Ronald Reagan. At first, their meetings were not thorough due to the relationship between the US and the Soviet Union after World War II, but they eventually came to an agreement that ended the race. The USSR and the United States both agreed to stop making nuclear weapons as well as destroying existing weapons. Gorbachev was a big part in ending the Cold War. He broke up the authoritarian control over Russia, attempted to reform the economy, and he ended the nuclear arms race between the Soviet Union and the United States. Gorbachev's rise to power saved the millions of lives that could have been lost because of our nuclear arms. Mikhail Gorbachev is still alive to this day at the current age of 81. He is still active in the world of politics and is still well known for his efforts in the Cold War. Gorbachev set up the Gorbachev Foundation, a non-profit organization, which analyzes Russian political and historical issues, as well as founding another organization called the Green Cross International, an environmental group.